Oh, and I was muted. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Before we get started, we have a few quick announcements. In the efforts towards language justice, we'll be providing live simultaneous translations during this meeting. We'll be having folks from different satellite offices, from CHC, from SBCC, and from WASP Labor Community Action Center calling in today. And we will be providing languages both in Spanish and in English. So after we give our introductions, you'll see a globe icon at the bottom of the screen. Please have everyone, regardless of the language you speak, select the language you'd like to hear this public hearing in. And with that, Daniel, I'm going to give you the floor.
Sorry, real quick, Edward Anderson is in the audience and he can't get into the main meeting. Sorry about that.
We'll add him in. Thank you, Commissioner Bramon.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Para escuchar la sesión de hoy en español, por favor vayan a la parte inferior de su pantalla, elijan en el globo terráqueo que ven allí, selecciónenlo y escojan español y silencien el audio original en caso de que escuchen dos voces. Muchas gracias.
Great, thank you. And with that, Chair Ali.
So thank you very, very much, and welcome to this public hearing of the Los Angeles City Council Redistricting Commission. My name is Fred Alley, and I'm honored to serve as the chair of this commission. And I want to start off tonight by recognizing a new commission member, Wendy Mitchell, who was recently, in fact, sworn in today by Council Member Monica Rodriguez, who appointed her to the commission. So Wendy, welcome. I'm glad to have you on board. Tonight is one of 17 community of interest hearings that the commission will be conducting through September. We are holding hearings in each city council district, as well as 2 regional hearings to ensure that all the residents of Los Angeles can have their voices heard in this important, during this important process. We start tonight with a focus on Council District 8. We look forward to hearing from residents of Council District 8, as well as residents from other districts who might be attending tonight's hearing. As Commissioner Shaw will explain in a minute, we want to hear about your community, your special needs, and your recommendations for fair and inclusive political representation. This is what democracy is all about. I want to thank the neighborhood councils who supported our outreach efforts for tonight's meeting, as well as the staff of City Council Member Harris Dawson's office. I also want to thank the efforts of many community-based organizations who assisted with spreading the word about tonight's hearing. I want to specifically mention LA CAN, SCOPE, Community Health Councils, SBCC, Ward EDC, and Ward EDC. And I also want to recognize the work of the Watts Labor Action Committee. Tonight is August, September 8th, and it is approximately 6:07 p.m. I'm losing track of my time. So with that, can we please take the roll?
Yes. Chair Ali.
I am here.
Vice Chair Thune.
Present.
Vice Chair Diaz.
Present.
Vice Chair Anderson, or Commissioner Anderson.
Present.
Commissioner Barrett.
Present.
Commissioner Bramon.
Present.
Commissioner Brenes.
Present.
Commissioner Kanya.
Present.
Commissioner Delgadillo.
Here.
Commissioner Garston.
Present.
Commissioner Katz. Commissioner Lay.
Present.
Commissioner Martinez.
Present.
Commissioner Moreno. Commissioner Polanco. Commissioner Pritchard.
Present.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Here.
Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
and Commissioner Suh.
Here.
Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. And in addition to welcoming Commissioner Mitchell, I also want to note that we expect very shortly the swearing in of another new commissioner, Tammy Membrano, who was appointed by the mayor's office. And we expect that Tammy will be sworn in sometime this week and will be hopefully joining our hearing on Saturday. Now I'm going to ask commission members to disclose ex parte communications that may have occurred since our last meeting. For members of the public, ex parte communication means a communication between any member of the Los Angeles City Council Redistricting Commission and any elected city officer or member of any elected city officer staff regarding a matter pending before this commission. By city ordinance, commission members are required to disclose these communications to ensure a fair and transparent process. Our commission members take these disclosures very seriously, and a log of ex parte communications can be found at our website. And at the conclusion of this meeting, I will once again ask commissioners to disclose any ex parte communication that may have occurred during tonight's meeting. So with that, I'm going to open it up, but I will start with a disclosure of my own. On September 3rd at approximately 2:30 in the afternoon, I received a phone call from Council Member Monica Rodriguez to inform me of her recent appointment to the Redistricting Commission. So with that, let me also open up to other disclosures that commission members might have. Commissioner Kanya, I think I saw your hand go up.
Yes, thank you, Chair Ali. I wanted to let you know today at 2:30, I sent an email to Yolanda Ramos, who is the the schedule coordinator for Councilmember Krikorian, to try to schedule a meeting with him that would occur next week to provide him an update as to the status of the Redistricting Commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Kanya. Commissioner Suh.
Earlier today at about 4:50, I had a conversation for about 10 to 15 minutes with Majiba Saeed of Councilmember Rahman's office, where I briefly summarized the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association Public Forum that was held last Saturday, and also let her know where we are at in the process and that the public drawing of lines will be starting in the next couple of weeks.
Can I thank you, Commissioner Suh, and I think somebody may need to mute themselves. We're getting some noise in the background.
I think the noise in the background was mine. I'm really sorry for that.
That's
I'm muted now. I'll mute now.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other disclosures? Commissioner Martinez, good to see you.
Nice to see you as well, Mr. Chair. And I do have a disclosure. Yesterday, September the 7th at approximately 4:30 p.m., I had a meeting with Council Member Curran Price, his Chief of Staff, Curtis Ernest, and his Deputy Director of Engagement, Jose Ugarte, to go ahead and recap the last public hearing with the focus on CD9 and to go ahead and share what the remainder of the timeline will look like.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Any other disclosures? Okay, seeing none. So now it's my pleasure to, oh, wait a minute, before I get to that, I have another thing I want to announce, something that just came up. Give me 1 second so I can get to my script. So the first thing is that we want to show you, commissioners and members of the public, a video that was recently produced by commission staff. It's called Redistricting in Los Angeles, Your Voice and Your Power. This is going to be a video that's going to be placed on our YouTube channel. It's also going to be placed on our website as another way to inform the public of of our hearings. And so the other thing I wanted to announce is that beginning September 11th, the public will be able to watch all of our meetings and hearings by going to LA City View 35 on cable channel 35. And more information of that can be found on our website. So, and Commissioner Diaz, did you have, before I move on, did you have a comment? Did I see your hand go up?
I did want to bring an issue, Chair Ali, and I don't know if this is the right time before your comments. I can also certainly wait until after your opening.
No, go ahead, because I then want to get to the video and then turn it over to the introductions on redistricting.
So I just wanted to share that one of the things that is noticeable for a number of the commissioners, and I know that we discussed this in our ad hoc regional meeting this week, is that with the resignation of Commissioner Saldivar, the Valley's region does not have a Latina or Latino voice. This obviously poses a number of issues. I would say first and foremost, the data clarified that the growth in the Valley was on the backs of diverse Angelenos. The Valley obviously is a place that has 2 Latino majority districts. They're deserving of a Latino voice with the cultural competency. So I'm hoping that when the mayor's appointee is in fact sworn into this body, that they can lend their cultural competency, nuance, and familiarity with the city to that region.
Thank you, Commissioner. And that will, you and I have talked about that, and we will give that every consideration. So thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much.
If I can make a comment, I'm not sure the raised hand.
Commissioner, yeah.
Yeah, it is a pleasure to be here and to serve from the Valley. I've lived in the Valley for 20 years. I really appreciate what Sonia is saying about the diversity of the region. I just wanted to qualify that, you know, my first job in politics was working for Senator Polanco for the Latino caucus. And I've lived in the Valley for the last 20 years. And I was also the chair of Brooklyn Beautiful. So while I don't hail from Latino heritage, I have worked in those communities for a long time and feel I have bring a lot to the table for the region of the Valley, because I understand the issues that we're going to be addressing there. So I'm really looking forward to serving.
I'd like to clarify my comments. In no way is this of any disrespect to fellow commissioners in the region, but I do believe that descriptive representation matters and that it's uniquely different than experience that may be as an ally or such.
100%. I agree with you. I'm looking forward to serving on the Valley region and working with the new commissioner as well.
Okay, thank you very, very much. And so with that, now let's move to the video.
Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I'm sharing it with the sound. Great. Okay.
Right now, you have the power to influence how Los Angeles looks for the next 10 years. As a resident of Los Angeles, you expect certain things from the city government, whether it be picking up your trash on time, fixing potholes in the street, or making sure your neighborhood is safe. But how do you make sure you're successfully represented in City Hall in order to receive such services? It starts with voting for our city representatives. But who you get to vote for is based on a district map and where you live. The district maps determine which neighborhood you live in and the city representatives you can elect. Right now, you have a chance to impact how these maps are drawn, and you won't have this chance again for another 10 years. This process is called redistricting, and it's as important to democracy as voting. So what is redistricting? It's a process where the entire country redraws the maps that determine each electoral district for the local, state, and federal government. Each resident lives in a city council district, and each of those districts is represented by one city council member. Districts are designed to have about the same number of people, each resulting with its own needs and concerns. It's important for districts to be drawn so that everybody in each community is represented. It's important for districts to be defined fairly and equally so that each district has the same number of people, and that minority groups have an opportunity to elect representatives of their choice. Fair redistricting makes sure this happens. Representation matters. Right now, you can influence how the map that defines your district and your community is drawn. Our independent commission, called the LA City Council Redistricting Commission, has a responsibility to make recommendations on what the district should look like. We want to hear about your community. Who lives there? Which streets define its boundaries? What are the shopping areas, schools, churches, and ethnic communities that make your neighborhood special? To tell us about your community, visit laccrc2021.org to learn more about redistricting. Get involved and make your voice heard. In a democracy, your voice is your power. Use it today.
Okay, thank you. And my understanding is that video will appear in English, Spanish, Korean, Tagalog, and Thai, if I'm not mistaken. So with that, I want to introduce Rafael Gonzalez, Director of Outreach.
Gracias, Presidente Ali. Y buenas tardes a todos, a esta audiencia pública de la Comisión de Reestructuración Distrital de la Ciudad de Los Ángeles. Mi nombre es Rafael González y soy director de alcance de esta comisión. Y es un gran placer estar con todos ustedes esta noche. El propósito de nuestra audiencia este día es para escuchar de ustedes y cómo describen a su comunidad y para saber qué es lo que hace su comunidad única para determinar una representación justa y inclusiva en su distrito del Concilio de Los Ángeles. Queremos saber qué es lo que hace su comunidad única, qué comparten ustedes y sus vecinos en común y cuáles son las necesidades especiales de su comunidad. Esto es importante en la reestructuración y en la creación de nuevas líneas distritales y mapas para la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Una vez más, nos da mucha felicidad con su participación esta noche. La voz y el poder del pueblo es clave en este proceso. Muchas gracias. It is now my pleasure to introduce...
Rafael, can I interrupt? I'm sorry. Before you go on, Ariana, would you read the first agenda item into the record?
Yes. Item number 1, discussion of public hearing format, rules of conduct, and summary of redistricting in communities of interest, public hearing to gather testimony on communities of interest, closing remarks.
Thank you very, very much. Now, Rafael, back to you.
Okay. Otra vez, muchas gracias por la participación de toda nuestra audiencia y muchas gracias. Ojalá que estén con nosotros toda esta tarde. It is now my pleasure to introduce Commissioner Valerie Lynn Shaw, who will provide us with some opening remarks. Commissioner Shaw.
Well, welcome. I want to welcome everyone this evening to the 16th public hearing of the Los Angeles City Council Redistricting Committee. I'm Valerie Lynn Shaw, and I have the opportunity to serve the residents of Los Angeles for nearly 30 years as a member of the Los Angeles Board of Public Works, appointed by 3 mayors, Reardon, Hahn, and Villaraigosa. 18 months after my retirement, I was appointed by then Governor Jerry Brown to serve on the California Community College, with this California Community College system. The Board of Governors has the oversight of 116 community colleges throughout our state. And at the end of 2020, I had the honor of being selected by Councilmember Marquise Harris Dawson to represent CD8 on this commission. Now, the purpose of today's hearing is to hear from you and how you describe your community. We want to know what makes your community unique, what you and your neighbors share in common, and what are the special needs of your community. This is vital in redistricting and in the creation of new district boundaries and maps. For the city of Los Angeles, people who have common interests, needs, often benefit being grouped together in a single district. We truly value your time and participation in this redistricting process. Now, a little bit about who we are. The LA City Council Redistricting Commission is an appointed 21-member body charged by the Los Angeles City Charter with the responsibility of designing new recommended boundaries of the city's 15 council districts. The commission's adopted core purpose is to independently draw proposed LA City Council district boundaries based on census data and applicable law that will allocate constituents proportionately, while also accounting for the unique histories, experiences, and interests of communities, such that those interests will have the highest probability of being served by elected representatives and the City of Los Angeles. The Commission has further adopted the following vision and core values to inform and drive its fulfillment of its legal responsibilities and its core purpose. The vision is to strengthen the governance of the City of Los Angeles by empowering its communities to have their diverse needs served through fair and inclusive representation. Core values: equity, integrity, transparency, respect, compassion, dignity, data-driven, solution-oriented, and interdependence. Now, here are some of our housekeeping tips. The hearing is being broadcasted live on video and is being recorded. Translation services have been made available for those who request the services. We have Spanish translation happening simultaneously during this hearing. To hear in Spanish, please select the globe icon at the bottom of the screen and select Spanish. The Spanish closed captioning service is available in real time by going to bit.ly/LACCRC Spanish CC. Okay. Now, in addition to closed captioning, we also have provided during this hearing, we are also being provided during this hearing in both English and Spanish. Closed captioning is. If you experience technical difficulties during this virtual public hearing, please contact us via email at redistricting.la@lacity.org or by calling us at 213-263-5765. Commission staff will be standing by. If you have a statement that you'd like to submit to the commission, please do so via email at redistricting.lacity@lacity.org. Now, we have many people who want to testify today, and we want to accommodate everyone efficiently and effectively. So one suggestion is that if you hear someone make the point you want to make, rather than repeating their testimony, just allow them to just come and say that you agree with them, and then allow others opportunities to speak. In closing, I want to thank Los Angeles Council Member Marquise Harris Dawson and the CD8 staff for their invaluable community outreach and engagement support in promoting this public hearing throughout CD8. I will now introduce the Executive Director of the Los Angeles City Redistricting Commission, Frank Cardenas, who will provide us with a summary of redistricting. Frank?
Commissioner Shaw, thank you so very much. May I just say I've known Valerie Lynn Shaw for about 25 years now, having had the pleasure of working with her first on the Public Works, the Board of Public Works in the City of Los Angeles, starting, I think, Valerie, you and I started our service together 1995, as I recall. As people throughout Council District 8 surely know, Valerie Lynn Shaw is as committed an advocate for equity and fairness throughout CD8 and indeed greater South LA as anyone can find. It's a pleasure to work with you once again, Valerie, for me and the rest of the commission staff to support your leadership and that of the rest of your fellow commissioners.
Thank you so much, Frank.
My pleasure. So what is redistricting? What are we doing here? We know it comes around every 10 years. A few people all of a sudden become experts at it, and then they seem to go away. But its effects, as we have all found out in different ways, are lasting. So every person in the city of Los Angeles lives in a city council district, and each district is defined by certain streets and neighborhoods. We all have the opportunity to elect a city council member based on the district that we live in. For example, Sherman Oaks, Brentwood, Baldwin Hills, Manchester Square, are each in different council districts, and residents in these communities vote for different people to represent them. Every 10 years, the entire nation goes through this process called redistricting to redraw maps that determine districts across the country. As communities get bigger and smaller and people move in, people move out, it's important that these districts are defined fairly and equally. In fact, according to the US Constitution, all electoral districts across the land must contain approximately the same number of people. The maps drawn will determine the allocation of political power and representation at every level of government, here in the city, LA County, the entire state, and federal across the nation for at least the next 10 years. So why does it matter so much? Well, it matters because where district lines are drawn can determine where residents can vote, who they can vote for, and how responsive your elected officials are to your requests. Redistricting should never, of course, result in the denial of a person's right to vote on the basis of her race, her color, or her language minority status. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 ensures minority voters an opportunity to elect representatives of their own choice. However, the Voting Rights Act of 65 is being treated across the land. We know here in Los Angeles that it matters very much to us. People in CD8 fought very hard for the Voting Rights Act. Representation, of course, is power. Who represents you in City Hall can mean more or less affordable housing, cleaner streets, safer parks. And making sure that your district is drawn in a way that gives you fair representation can make a big difference for you and your family. Now, how does it work? More specifically, how does it work here in LA? Well, here in Los Angeles, the mayor, the city controller, the city attorney, and all 15 city council members have appointed an advisory commission to advise the city council on how to draw new districts that reflect the interests of the literally hundreds of communities in Los Angeles that make us unique. This 21-member commission, your redistricting commission, is made up of diverse people from across the city. Your commission is committed to making sure that everyone has fair and equal representation over at City Hall. Now, before council lines are redrawn, your commission is conducting a series of public meetings across the city. Tonight is the 16th in a series of 17 public hearings. The last one, which you are also certainly welcome to join, is this Saturday at 10 a.m. We had one for every council district, plus we have the citywide meeting this Saturday, and we also had one a couple of weeks ago entirely in Espanol. At these hearings, the commission wants people to tell them about your shared interests and concerns that commissioners should take into consideration when drawing the lines for your council district. As you may recall, just a few weeks ago, we all finally received the long-awaited census population data from the federal government. It was supposed to come out in March or April. It was delayed, and we barely got it on August 12th. But now the commission is armed with this data, and the commission is continuing to receive public input, because these are the two sets of critical data, along with certain other data like geography, boulevards, rivers, freeways, et cetera. But it's the public testimony, your public testimony, and the census population data, now that we finally have it, that commissioners are taking into consideration as they draw new council district maps. Now, because of this 5-month delay from the Census Bureau in the population data, your commission has necessarily had to begin the redistricting process in the absence of that data. This is unfortunate. Nobody's saying it's fair, but at least we're all in this together. Now, recall that as important as the population data is, and it is important, That's only a part of the equation because, like I mentioned, it's your testimony, your what we call community of interest testimony that is an absolutely critical factor in your commission's considerations. And that is why we are here with you, focusing on the great CD8 tonight. Because for the commission to do its work, it's got to listen to the people of the city. It's got to listen to Angelenos as you provide your community of interest testimony, your truth, and the census population data, now that the commission finally has it, is what the commission is legally obligated to rely upon when drawing new council districts. A set of maps is going to be drafted and presented to the community online and via public hearings to ensure the commission gets your feedback. The public hearings to get your feedback on draft maps are currently scheduled for October 6, 9, 13, and 16. The commission will then revise the maps as it deems appropriate and send them to the city council for their consideration, hopefully approval. Now, I'm proud to tell you that you now have the ability to draw your own map of your community, whether it's Lemert Park or Baldwin Hills or West Adams, whatever it happens to be, or your entire CD8 or the entire city, and submit it online with a click of a finger to the commission for its consideration. All you have to do is go to our website, and on the very first landing page, you may need to wait a couple of seconds. There'll be a little yellow block at the lower left that pops up, and it says maps. Click on that, make your own map. Now, to help our commissioners actually draw these new council district boundaries based largely on your testimony, I'm proud to say the commission has engaged what we think is the very best firm in this particular space in the entire nation. It's a California firm known as Redistricting Partners. Joining us tonight is the firm's president, native Californian from the LA area, Paul Mitchell, as well as his top line drawer, Ms. Sofia Garcia. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Robert Battles, who is your commission's Associate Director of Community Outreach and Engagement. Rob.
Ooh, Frank, I will actually
like
be
to
doing...
defer to
Who's doing it?
I'm going to do it tonight. So
don't make me do it.
No. Well, thank you. I am Ariana Bank-Duke. I am the commission's deputy director. We've been switching back and forth between Rob and I, so it makes a lot of sense, Frank, that you called Rob. So what are the rules and criteria that help determine the map? There are 4 main areas that we have to follow. First being that the new lines, the new district should be substantially equal in total population size. As Frank has mentioned, a lot of people have been moving around in the last 10 years, so we need to make sure that the districts have about the same amount of people in them. Parts of the district must be able to connect to one another. You can't have a circle here and a circle here and both call it CD8. And we want to make sure that neighborhoods stay intact to the extent feasible. And finally, as Frank had mentioned, we want to make sure that the new district lines comply with the Voting Rights Act. This guarantees that Latinx, African American, Asian American, minority voters are given the opportunity to elect a representative of their choice. So how can I participate to make sure my voice is heard? For starters, we wanted to thank you. On behalf of the commission, we've received a bunch of feedback that's been incredibly helpful throughout this whole process. We're in number 16 and 17, so there's been a lot of meetings and we're really appreciative of all of that. There are various ways that you can participate in this process. You can do what you're doing tonight, attend a public hearing and providing spoken testimony. Our last one is on Saturday, as Frank had mentioned, for this first round of public hearing. Second way to participate is through Districtor, this fantastic app that we have on our website where you can draw your own maps. And we've received some incredible submissions from the public, so we're really grateful for that. And then finally, this other method that is perfect for folks who don't want to wait in line to give public testimony or don't feel comfortable doing it in front of 100+ people is by providing the commission written testimony. And the way that you do that is by going to our website, laccrc2021.org, and go over to community engagement where it says submit community testimony. And what will happen is it will take you to a page that looks like this, and you can fill out the questions to your best ability. Now, whether you're providing written testimony or spoken testimony, there are three main areas that the commission would like to hear from you. The first being, tell us about your community. Does your community have a shared cultural identity or bond? Second, describe the geographical location of your community. Is it by a certain metro line? What streets do you normally find yourself at? And then finally, tell us the ways in which you interact with city government. This is important when it comes to developing our district lines. The point of this commission is to hear from you and to take that feedback into consideration. And that's what we've been doing. We've been collecting all these public comments, reading through them, taking the transcripts from the meetings, and coming up with these summaries of what are people actually saying. So tell us about the schools. Tell us about where you go shopping, the parks you attend. Tell us about the places of worship. Tell us what makes your community unique. And with that, I'm now going to hand it off to our Associate Director of Community Outreach and Engagement, Rob Battles, to start us off on public comment. Rob?
Thank you very much, Ariana and Frank. Good evening, everyone. We are now going to get ready to public comment. So in conformity with the Governor's Executive Order 9-29-20, and due to concerns over COVID-19, the Los Angeles City Council Redistricting Commission's meetings will be conducted entirely virtually and telephonically. Members of the public who would like to give public comment via Zoom webinar on the item listed on the agenda should click on the raise hand function now and request to speak, and we'll add you to the speakers list. Members of the public who would like to offer public comment on the item listed on the agenda and are calling in via phone, please press *9 to request to speak. I'd now like to introduce Stefan Taub from the City Attorney's Office.
Hi, so I'm here to just state some of the ground rules for public comment. So every member of the public who calls in or raises their hand via Zoom will get 2 minutes to speak. The presiding officer may find you out of order if you're not on topic or if you're being overly repetitive. Other than that, you can spend your 2 minutes speaking however you want about the work of the commission. When it's your turn to speak, if you're calling in, we'll read out the last 4 digits of your 3 or 4 digits of your phone number or other identifying information if you're calling in with the block number, and tell you to press *6 to unmute yourself. So we understand if you're calling in, as opposed to on Zoom, that you might also have the computer on. But if you do, please keep one ear to the phone so that when you hear us identify you, you hear it promptly and can press *6. There can be a time delay between the meeting and what's on Zoom, and there can also be feedback if you've got both going on. So keep one ear to the phone, and when it is your turn to speak, if you have another device running, please turn down the volume of the other device right away. If you don't, there'll be a lot of confusion. Finally, I'd like to remind members of the commission that some members of the public unfortunately use vulgar or occasionally racist or sexist language. There's not a lot we can do about that now because of the First Amendment. You have to listen to it, but members of the public do not have to listen to it. So if you members of the public don't like what you're hearing, please don't hesitate to move the phone away from your ear or turn down the volume on your computer. And when the speaker's done, you can re-enter the meeting. Other than that, I think the meeting will go smoothly. And so I think we're ready to take public comment whenever the presiding officer is ready to do so.
Thank you, Stefan. And before I open up, I just want to mention one more thing, because I know members of the public might not be able to stay to the conclusion of this meeting. And I just want to make sure members of the public understand that you can follow or become aware of additional meetings that the commission is going to be having. And we're going into a very important phase now. We're going into the map drawings, line drawing phase. So you can gain information about when these meetings are occurring through the city's early notification system and also on our website. And we obviously encourage your continued participation in our public hearings as we move forward. So with that, I am going to open up the meeting to public comment.
Thank you very much, Chair Ali. As we mentioned at the top of tonight's public hearing, that we are going to take public testimony from different locations throughout the city. So we are going to hear comments from folks who are attending on Zoom, as well as members of the public who are at the South Bay Counseling Center and the Watts Community Labor Action Center. So we wanted to also ask folks, if you have not done so, please find the interpretation button at the bottom of the screen and choose the language you would prefer to hear in this evening. We want to give members of the public full confidence that they can speak in their preferred language and that we'll all be able to hear any interpretation that's needed. We're also going to call out speakers around three or four folks at a time to give you a chance to prepare your comments. So with that being said, our first group of speakers are going to come from our attendees list, and they will be Dolores Spears, Jacqueline DuPont Walker, and Manjusha Kulkarni. So Dolores Spears, please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about, and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give public comment.
Is the screen going to stay up?
Yes, I'll put the screen up for you now.
No, I had, at any rate, I'm Dolores Spears and I'm calling from, I live in Jefferson Park. I've been living in Jefferson Park since 1994. I am also active in my neighborhood council, which is UNNC. And I live in the section of CD10 that is the historic Jefferson Park. Our neighbors are very, very active. Our residents are very, very active in our neighborhood. Within our neighborhood council, our city council has given us 3 separate awards for empowering our stakeholders for getting involved in city government. Because of our activism, the city council appointed a petroleum administrator to oversee the drill sites within our community, although the state snatched him up and the position is vacant now. But it was because of our activism working together with our city council person to get this done. We are active in submitting impact statements with items on the city council agenda that affect our community. And we have a very active planning and zoning committee within our neighborhood council. Whenever there any kind of building construction goes up, our committee goes through that whole plan with a fine-tooth comb, and we submit testimony at the Planning and Zoning Commission with regards to our position of how we want our neighborhood to look and what goes in it. We're very active. When we have something that is going on in our community, we reach out to Holman Church up on Adams, where we have 300 to 400 people that will attend that community meeting at that church. We're very active with the Holman Church and other churches in the area. We also it's up.
Please close. Yeah, please close.
All right. It's just that we also participate in the homeless count whenever it comes around. I just want to say we're in support of keeping CD10 intact. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And once again, we wanted to give everyone a chance to make their comments heard. So we're going to give you up to 2 minutes. And if you've gone over your time, we are going to gently remind you to wrap up. Our next speaker, Jacqueline DuPont Walker. Please unmute yourself, and you'll also have up to 2 minutes to give testimony.
Thank you very much, Chair Ali, Host Commissioner Valerie Shaw, and this esteemed commission plus the staff. Many of you have distinguished yourselves as public servants, elected and appointed. Others come to this task with a strong desire to do the right thing for the right reason. Thank you for all of your service. Having walked where you're walking, I pray for you daily and applaud you and look forward to the partnership. Knowing that our presence makes a difference, I will not let you gather with only a few voices to talk to you, give feedback, and listen as you deliberate regarding the challenges that multiple voices present for you to find solutions. We won't all like the outcome, but we thank you for taking a stab at drawing lines that unify us. We will not let you get lonely as you make history, leading us through the tedious work, which few will remember as only the third redistricting commission in the history of this city. We will draw and submit our maps. Thank you for that opportunity. And we will invite others to crowd this virtual venue. Today's public hearing focuses on the district where the corporate offices of my employer are located. We're very close to the intersection of the 1st, the 8th, and the 9th. Its constituency and economic base are compatible with the 9th and 10th districts. In close proximity with CD1, WEDC, a community and faith-based development corporation, embraces Council District 1, 8, 9, and 10, and a wedge of 14. Your consideration for potential negative impact in communities where inequity has been the focus of studies and scholarly papers over the decades is important. We have decried the disinvestment, the injustices, and the need for resounding Indigenous voices to achieve lasting change. Notable events evidencing the predicaments of this region are the 1965 civil disturbance, the 1992 economic referendum, and the current efforts to achieve equity. It is a fact that the first project area committees of the Community Redevelopment Agency were in this region, and the main criteria was verifiable blight. The people in this subregion still struggle to have their needs addressed, their voices heard in real time, and resources allocated that can create a level playing field. We also share signs of hope. Exposition Park, Matama?
Yes, please wrap.
Okay, Lucas Museum and LA Football Stadium. We ask you to consider Metro's proposed Vermont corridor improvement with rapid transit rail and the new neighbors in the LA Soccer Stadium and the Lucas Museum. CD8 is a voting rights district. Thank you for keeping it together.
All right, thank you, Speaker. Our next speaker, Manjusha Kulkarni. Please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're going to speak about this evening.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Manjusha Kulkarni. I'm executive director of the Asian Pacific Policy and Planning Council, a coalition of over 40 community-based organizations serving and representing the 1.5 million Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in Los Angeles County, who make up 15% of the LA County population and 12.4% of the LA City population. I'm here today as part of the People's Block Redistricting Collaborative and here to speak about LA City as a whole. Last year, APCON led the AAPI Census Collaborative with 19 AAPI partner organizations to raise awareness about the 2020 census and response rates in hard to reach AAPI communities. This year, when it comes to redistricting, APCON is building on that foundational work. As a member of the People's Bloc, a multiracial coalition advocating for equitable representation for communities of color in local redistricting, the coalition is submitting mapping proposals at the local level that respect and support African American, Latinx, and Latinx Voting Rights Act interests and keeping our AAPI communities of interest whole. In Los Angeles County, API communities of interest include Little Tokyo and Chinatown in and around downtown Los Angeles, Thai Town in East Hollywood, historic Filipino Town and Koreatown in Mid-City, Cambodia Town in Long Beach and San Gabriel Valley, and Little India in Cerritos and Artesia, the neighboring cities. We urge you to hear what our community members and leaders say throughout this process to make sure that our communities remain whole. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today, and we will be sharing written testimony in addition. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And thank you also for reminding folks that if you would like to give written testimony to the commission, please email us at redistricting.lacity@lacity.gov. Our next three speakers, we're going to call you out so that you can get ready. That is Sylvia Molina, Carlos Leon, and Malcolm McKay. So Sylvia Molina, please unmute yourself and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give your public testimony.
Buenas tardes, comisionados. Mi nombre es Silvia Molina y soy miembro de la Community Coalition, el bloque del pueblo. Vivo en Los Ángeles, en las calles 52 y Western, que está en el distrito 8. Tengo 3 hijos. Mi hija y mi hijo asisten a la escuela Western Elementary Magnet School. He vivido en mi comunidad durante 10 años. Yo soy originalmente de Honduras. Yo describiría el sur de Los Ángeles como un lugar no muy seguro, pero tenemos lo necesario para vivir. Por ejemplo, tenemos una lavandería cerca, una market, una donas y un car wash. La iglesia nos queda también enfrente de mi casa y la escuela de mis hijos, a ellos les gusta su escuela, pero la escuela no me parece me parece un poco desorganizada. No tenemos un director permanente, pero la maestra de mi hija es muy buena y atenta. Mi vecindario es una mezcla de personas. Habemos personas de Centroamérica, México y muchos afroamericanos. Hay mucha gente mayor y familias. He visto nuevos vecinos americanos blancos mudándose a mi vecindario. Los veo caminando por las mañanas con sus mascotas. A lo mejor porque se puede ahorrar un poco más de dinero viviendo por aquí. Mi comunidad no es como otras áreas de Los Ángeles que tienen árboles, macetas de plantas decoradas y pintadas. En mi comunidad se ven, por ejemplo, muebles, camas en la banqueta y hasta una cama le prendieron fuego hace una semana. Les insisto a que diseñen a mi distrito para que los representantes de mi comunidad puedan continuar siendo campeones de nosotros, especialmente en estos tiempos inseguros. Muchas gracias.
All right, thank you very much, speaker. Our next speaker, Carlos Leon, please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're going to speak about this evening.
Good evening, Carlos Leon. I'm going to speak on District 8 in South Central LA.
All right, go ahead.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Carlos Leon, community organizer at Community Coalition in South Central LA. I grew up in South Central LA on Main and Gage, attended Mary McLeod Bethune Middle School, went to Fremont High School, class of 01. Growing up as a child and as many kids after the civil unrest of 92 and the war on drugs in the 80s and 90s, our communities faced and continue to face immense challenges. Listening daily to our community members of the impact that decades of targeted disinvestment, racist policies, lack of opportunities, and ongoing disregard for people in our streets has pushed us to continue to resist and be resilient. Walking to and from school, knowing you could be safe if you knew the people in the mini marts, the librarians, in our community that showed up, the park directors, like the ones at Algin Rec Center on Hoover in 90th Street, community centers like the YMCA on Vermont in Manchester, and Community Coalition on 81st and Vermont, and other safe spaces that have risen to protect our children, our community, and our youth are some examples of how the community has organized to protect ourselves. Our community is still predominantly Black and brown. We speak English and Spanish. We enjoy going to taco stands on the evenings, weekends, get some soul food on Crenshaw, and have different cultural events that uplift who we are as a collective. We are now seeing a rebirth and renaissance of the vision from our community for our community. Places like Hank's Market that has taken place of the regular liquor stores we used to see that now provide healthier options. Places like South LA Cafe, which beyond a cafe is a cultural gathering space to get coffee, to get a vaccine, and even free groceries during this pandemic. And for those in need, Harenku Cafe, and so many others rising to the occasion. More than ever, we need to protect South Central LA, especially during a time of displacement, erasure, predatory development, and gentrification. We cannot afford to lose any more land. 10 years ago, CDA lost some sections that could have better supported our community today. Our community is asking to strengthen our boundaries along the current CDA boundaries, to continue investing in our Black and Brown communities so we can rise after this pandemic stronger, and to make sure that we have the representation that understands the historical struggle that binds us together, but also that sees a future with our community as their biggest assets. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I'd like to announce our next group of speakers. There will be Tara Perry, Dr. Cheryl Gonder, and Kamari B. So Tara Perry, go ahead and unmute yourself now and let us know which neighborhood you're going to speak about this evening, and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give comments.
Hello, thank you so much. My name's Tara Perry. I live in the Park Mesa Heights area, or High Park, actually, to be exact. And I think that with CDA, it's a very unique city council district, because Los Angeles as a whole, African Americans only make up about 8%, but in CDA, we're over 80% of this city council district. And I think it's important that those numbers remain the same, so that we can, if they don't remain the same, but to increase. I know that there has been cuts from near King Boulevard, and if there's even a possibility to expand further into the Jungles area where they used to be a part of CD8, but bringing them back into CD8 so that the Black residents in those areas could continue to have Black representation as they've had over decades. So I would really like to just throw that out there as a suggestion in terms of keeping CDA a predominantly Black district to where we can continue to have our own representation. Thank you for this meeting tonight.
All right, thank you very much. Our next speaker, Dr. Cheryl Gonder, please unmute yourself and let us know which neighborhood you're going to speak about this evening.
Hi, good evening. I represent the Schools Committee of the Baldwin Hills Estates HOA, and I am an educator who works in the Exposition Park area. And so while there are several pockets of excellence in our neighborhoods, the standard test scores for most of the schools in CD8 are very deplorable. Now, there has been growth in the test scores over the past few years, just like district-wide, there has been growth. But with the advent of multiple business developments in the area and future economic growth, we should see a bigger investment in our school children. Many studies have shown that the coalitions between businesses and schools have resulted in exponential growth in graduation rate and college and career preparation and success. Other major cities like Miami have strong coalitions from business and government, which work in great partnership with local schools. So we would like to see the district help develop stronger coalitions with schools to impact the future workforce of our community. Several schools in our neighborhood have received community and schools grants, which bring together business partnerships with nonprofits to assist schools in this endeavor. So I am encouraging the leaders to encourage businesses to take a very visible role in the future workforce of our city. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Kamari or Kamari. I apologize if I'm not saying that correctly. You can actually introduce yourself once you unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're going to speak about this evening.
Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, my name is Kamari Brown. I'm a proud graduate of Crenshaw High School in District 1, and I'm a youth leader at Community Coalition. And the Crenshaw District is my community, and I'm calling today to urge y'all to keep my community together during the redistricting process, because this community has served, as an oasis for Black Los Angeles. And in this district, we truly are Black excellence. In this district, Black life is celebrated and protected. In this district, Black is beautiful. And we are family within those boundaries. And I believe this district should stay together so that the next generation of young people can experience a unified community that represents their culture, history, and values. So please just keep this in mind when you make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. As we mentioned tonight, we want to hear from everyone. So if you are patiently waiting to give comment in the attendees list, we ask you to hold on for a while because we want to hear from other parts of the district tonight. So we will get to you, so please be patient. But right now, we'd like to ask folks at the South Bay Counseling Center to, let us know what they would like to say in terms of public testimony this evening. So we're going to go ahead and highlight them and give them a chance to give public testimony. Go ahead and unmute yourself. How are you doing, SBCC?
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Frias, and I work at SBCC as a community organizer for Los Angeles area. I am married and I have 2 children, and we live on 88th and Main Street for 15 years. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I grew up on 89th and Mettler between Avalon and San Pedro next to the Green Meadows Park. In my community, I see people that go to work and go to school and locally and to better themselves along with their families. One of my main concerns is that I see a large portion of homeless people between the Manchester and Century and in between Avalon and Figueroa. I feel like they need to be put in homes or in a shelter so our community can be more welcoming and safe. The reason why I say safe is because sometimes they're drunk or are in drugs and they're walking next to schools and can be a danger to children and other community members. In my area, South 88th Street and Main Street, I see a lot of Latinos and African Americans that live in my community. I will also like to share areas that are important to me and my family. I've been going to this restaurant called the Burger Palace for over 15 years, and it's on Manchester and Main. I do my grocery shopping in El Numero Uno on San Pedro in Manchester. I buy shoes for my family at the Warehouse Shoe Sale on Avalon in Manchester, and our clothes at this shopping center called Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Shopping Center that is located on 103rd in Compton. I love this. I love my district for it to remain the same, because people like myself have built relationships with community and other fellow neighbors by greeting each other when we are on our way to work, by simply keeping an eye on our properties and while we're away from home. I'm more familiar of where are my local areas, and I'm an advocate to support people around my neighborhood that have small businesses in the community in my district. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to give your next speaker an opportunity to go and get themselves settled. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and press the language button at the bottom of the screen to pick your preferred language. We were going to give everyone an opportunity to speak in their own voice this evening. So our next speaker is seated and ready to go. You can introduce yourself and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give your comment.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Aiden Hassel, and I will read one of seniors. Hello, my name is Lorenzo Felix. I have lived in district S for the past 27 years. I live on 97th and McKinley. I am a father of 6. One of my kids, my daughter, attended high school on Avalon and 120th Street. My other 3 finished their high school in San Pedro and 66th Fremont. We attended church on Main and 87th Street, Mother of Sorrows. I like to ride my bike every day to Ted Watkins Park on Century and Central. I shop in my local store, Superior, located on 103rd and Avalon. Food for Less, CVS, are both on 103rd and Compton. Chase and the postal office, also located on 103rd and Compton. I have lived very peacefully in my community. I am a homeowner, and most of the people that live in our community are homeowners. The general race in our community is Black and Latino. We share similar culture. I want my community to stay the same.
All right, thank you very much. Our next speaker is going to go ahead and make their way to the camera. Go ahead and introduce yourself and you'll have up to 2 minutes as well.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Marisa Morones. I have lived in the Green Meadows community, which is part of the Council District 8. I live in between McKinley and 97th Street and have been a resident of this area for 21 years. I attended Miramonte Elementary School located on 68th and Compton. My middle school, Thomas Edison, was just up the street on Hooper and 67th. Lastly, I attended my high school, Diego Rivera, on Gage and Central. While attending grade school, I would spend the majority of my time at the LA Public Library on Main and Florence. When shopping, I do some of my shopping in the area. For example, I pick up my medicine and any medical supplies my home might need from the CVS on 103rd and Compton. When it comes to physical activities, I am an avid runner and run the area of 92nd to 98th between Wadsworth and McKinley. I also walk at the Ted Watkins Park with my sister and my nieces and nephews. Since my area doesn't have many healthy food choices, I do not do any of my grocery shopping in the area. I prefer healthier options that can only be found 20 minutes from home in the surrounding cities of Torrance, Cerritos, and Inglewood. Most specifically, I shop at Trader Joe's on Manhattan and Aviation. I also shop at the Whole Foods on Sepulveda and Rosecrans. On another note, I do live very peacefully where I am in the area and do not have any issues that stand out. While walking through my neighborhood, which is a home-owned residential area on 92nd through 98th, the streets are very clean. I would like my district to stay the same. And I want to end my testimony by thanking SBCC for providing me information on the redistricting and for the space provided here at Avalon Gardens today. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We're gonna go ahead and give your next speaker a chance to get settled in. And there's no rush. You'll have up to 2 minutes to introduce yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking on. So you can get started whenever you're ready.
Ready. So good evening, Commissioner. My name is Gloria Gomez, and I'm community organizer for SBCC and live in District 8. I've been living in District 8 for the past 12 years. I live on McKinley and 97 to be exact. For the past 10 years, I have spent every day in the community of Watts, though, even though I live in District 8. To be specific, I do my shopping at Food for Less at CVS Subway located at 103rd and Compton. I use the Chase Bank and the Postal Services on Compton and 103rd Street. Superior located on Avalon and 103rd. I also visit Watkins Park, which is 103rd and Century with my family. I am a mother of 5 children. 3 of them attended 99th Street Elementary School, which is located on Century and Wadsworth. As they transitioned to middle school, I did drove out of the community to take them to a charter school that is located on Pacific and Slauson. And the name of the school is Aspire Pacific Academy, where my 2 oldest graduated from. My oldest attended Cal State Long Beach and graduated with a BA on social work. In our community, most of the people I know or interact with are homeowners. Where I live at is my stepfather's home. He's a homeowner. And my community is really clean. So McKinley from 97, 95, 94, 93 on McKinley, they're really clean areas. My concern are the main streets, which are the dirty areas, which is Avalon Central. And also it has violence. And I would like the community to stay the same. I am more connected, even though I live in District 8, I am more connected to Watts because I do live in the borderline of Watts and work in Watts. So I do spend most of my time in the community of Watts. Thank you.
All right, we're hearing very powerful testimony from CD8 residents this evening. Right now, we're hearing folks out at the South Bay Counseling Center, and our next speaker has now made their way to the. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and you have up to 2 minutes to give your comment.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Elila Gomez, and I'm here to read my grandmother's testimony. Hello, my name is Leticia Felix. I have lived in District 8 for the past 20 years. I live on East 97th Street and McKinley. I'm a mother of 5, I'm a mother of 2 children. My oldest daughter, mother of 5, and my youngest daughter that is 23 years old. My 23-year-old attended Miramonte Elementary School. This is located on 68th.
All right, I think we're experiencing a little technical difficulties over at the South Bay Counseling Center. So we're going to give them a chance to log back in and we'll actually give that speaker a chance to redo their public testimony. We do have folks in the attendees list and we also have people over at the WLCAC over in Watts. So right now we want to give the folks at WLCAC a chance to give some of their public testimony as well. So I'm going to spotlight them and give them a chance to get settled up. All right. Oh, I think SBC is back on, so let's actually give them a chance to complete comment. So go ahead. You can go ahead and start and reread your grandmother's statement if you like.
Hello, my name is Leticia Felix. I have lived in District 8 for the past 20 years. I live on East 97th Street in McKinley. I'm a mother of 2 children. My oldest daughter, mother of 5, and my youngest daughter that is 23 years old. My 23-year-old attended Miramonte Elementary School. This is located on 68th and Compton. As she transitioned to middle school, she attended Edison Middle School that is located on Hooper and 66th Street. When she transitioned to high school, she attended Diego Rivera, located on Gage and Central. She transitioned to university, which was University of California, Irvine, where she graduated and accomplished a BA on criminology and physiology. I shop at our local Superior located on Avalon and 103rd Street. I like to walk around my neighborhood from 97th Street to 103rd Street to Ted Watkins Park, located on Century and 103rd Street. I like to go have my coffee at McDonald's located on Avalon and Century. I do my laundry on 83rd Street and Central. I also shop at CVS located on Compton and 103rd Street, as well as Food for Less located at 103rd Compton. AutoZone, my husband and I shop at AutoZone and Century and Central. We use the gas station located at Imperial and Figueroa Chevron to be exact. We often order Domino's Pizza at Central and 102nd Street. We have lived really peacefully for the past 20 years. Most of the people that live in our block are homeowners. We are Hispanics and Latinos. We get along and we have similar cultures. We have no problems. I would like my community to stay the same. Thank you, SPCC, for giving us the space to give our testimony.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Rob, this is Fred. Before we go on, just a question for our friends at Redistricting Partners. There is a Dropbox notification at the bottom of our screens. Is there any way we can eliminate that? Thank you.
All right. That was a nice little break, and it gave folks at the SVCC a chance to get the next speaker in line. So you can go ahead and introduce yourself, and you'll have up to 2 minutes.
Buenas tardes, comisionario. Mi nombre es Graciela Palafox Acevedo. Perdón. Mi nombre es Graciela Palafox Acevedo y pertenezco a SBCC. Y estoy en un grupo de tejido y maquillaje. Yo tengo viviendo en mi comunidad en la 111 y la Figueroa por el tiempo de 20 años. Yo soy mamá, que tengo 3 hijos y mis 3 hijos han asistido a la escuela elementaria de la Figueroa y la 111. Y en la escuela Gompers, que está ubicada en la San Pedro y la 112. Y en la escuela de Locke, que está ubicada en la 111 y San Pedro, en el sur centro de Los Ángeles. Y mi familia y yo acudimos a la iglesia que está, que es la Asunción, que está ubicada en la Figueroa y la 111. Y también hago mis compras de marqueta en la esquina de mi casa, que hay una marquetita de la Micheles Mini Market que está ubicada en la 111 y la Street y Figueroa. y también voy a hacer mis compras en la marqueta que está ubicada en la 90 y la Figueroa, que es el número 1 Market. Y también voy a la estética que se llama Marimar, que está ubicada en la Figueroa y la 109. Y en la comunidad somos latinos y africanos y las culturas son similares y quisiera que mi distrito se quedara igual porque tenemos todo lo necesario. Muchas gracias. Buenas noches.
All right. Once again, we're hearing very great testimony from our friends over at the SBCC. And our next speaker has just gotten ready to go. And don't forget, we still want to hear from folks at the Watts Labor Community Action Center, and we have people in our attendees list that have their hands raised. If you would like to join our speakers list, please press the raise hand function if you're participating in this meeting via Zoom or on your computer or laptop. And if you're calling in, please press *9 to raise your hand. So going back to the South Bay Counseling Center, go ahead, introduce yourself.
SBCC, you're muted. If you want to unmute yourself, there should be a button that's popping up. Excellent.
Buenas tardes, comisionarios. Mi nombre es Lucrecia Erazo y yo pertenezco al grupo de NAC de SBCC, del grupo Tejido y Maquillaje. Yo tengo 30 años viviendo en la comunidad y en la 111 Street y San Pedro. Soy mamá de 4 hijos y mis hijos han estudiado en las escuelas. La primaria Figueroa Street, que está en la calle Figueroa y la 111. En la secundaria Gumpers en la 112 y San Pedro. Y la primaria 107, que está en la 107 entre Main y San Pedro. Y la high school, Locke, que está en la 111 Street, entre San Pedro y la Avalon. Yo voy a la iglesia Santa Asunción, que está en la Figueroa y la 112. También voy de compras a comprar mi comida en las tiendas de la Superior, que está en la 102 y la Avalon. Y compro mi medicina en el CVS, que está en el segundo y la Avalon también. Voy a la panadería que se encuentra en la 109 y la Avalon. El Pollo Loco está también en la Avalon y el segundo. El parque que está en la Central y la 103. También tenemos el parque que está en el segundo y la Broadway. También voy al número 1, que está en la Figueroa y la 90. Tenemos cerca también la Payless, que está en la Avalon y el segundo. También tenemos cerca la gasolinería, que está en la Avalon y la 111 Play. En mi comunidad vivimos latinos y afroamericanos. Compartimos culturas similares. Me gustaría que mi distrito se quede igual, porque tenemos todo lo necesario cerca y tenemos los parques de diversiones también cerca. Tenemos cerca las librerías. Tenemos 3 librerías, una en la 103 y la Campton, y en el segundo y en la 97 y Figueroa. Bueno, a mí me gustaría que se quedara mi distrito igual. Muchas gracias y buenas noches.
All right, thank you very much, Speaker. I believe we have a couple more speakers at the South Bay Counseling Center, and then we're going to go to our next location. And once again, if you're attending this meeting via Zoom or over the phone, please press *9 to join our speakers list or press the raise hand function on your screen. All right, and we'll continue testimony with the South Bay Counseling Center. Go ahead and speak. You have 2 minutes.
Hola, mi nombre es Silvia Vega. Soy la primera vez que vengo aquí. No tengo mucha experiencia, pero quiero aprender. Soy divorciada y tengo 7 hijos. Nosotros hemos vivido en el área por más de 20 años. En esta dirección 88 y Main Street. Igual hemos vivido en la 89 Street y la Metler. Street, en medio de Avalon y San Pedro, seguido por el parque Green Meadows. Mi mercado está ubicado en la Manchester y San Pedro. Mis hijos crecieron y fueron a la escuela en el área. Main Street, Manchester Boulevard y San Pedro, yendo a la escuela 93 Street. La iglesia que está en la Main, cerca de Manchester, yo viví por mucho tiempo y he vivido mucho tiempo y he visto muchos latinos y afroamericanos en el área, entre las calles Manchester, Main y también San Pedro. También tenemos una lavandería cerca en la 88 Street y Main. También contamos con un McDonald's, Pollo Loco, entre otros, que están en la calle Manchester y Main. A mí me gustaría que fuera un poco más vigilada el área, ya que pasan muchos accidentes. Por otra parte, yo o nosotros hemos vivido, creo que bien, pero sí me gustaría que hubiera un poco más de seguridad. Muchas gracias y buenas noches.
Thank you as well. Our next speaker, go ahead, and you'll have up to 2 minutes as well. Tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about.
Thank you. Good evening.
Oh, okay, I'll go ahead and stop your clock for a second. Did you get a reset? Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Carlos. I'm reading on behalf of Natalie Jimenez, and this is for District 8. Hello, my name is Natalie Jimenez. I live in District 8, located by 88th Place and Main Street. I am a new mother to a month-old baby. I lived in District 8 my whole life. It all started on 89th and Mettler, right next to the Green Meadows Park. I went to 93rd Street School Elementary and to Charles Drew Middle School. As a child, I was part of the Green Meadows Park swimming team. From there, my family moved to 109th Street and Broadway, and that address I attended Luke High School. After a while, we last moved to 88th Place and Main Street. I have been there 10 years and it's very homing to me. The neighbors are nice, welcoming, and helpful. We always greet each other and look out for one another. I think the only thing I would want to change is the homeless we have. I feel like they need to be placed in shelters and also just keeping the streets more clean. Our city has too much trash and doesn't make it look pretty. Thank you. And
All right,
I
thank
am
you
the
very
last
much.
speaker.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm the speaker for SBCC.
Oh, you are the last speaker. Thank you very much, folks, out at the SBCC tonight for finding a nice, safe place for people to come in and give their public testimony. Once again, we're hearing some great information about the geographic location where folks are at, what is a form of bonding for members of the community, and then most importantly, how you're impacted by city government. So this is great. And speaking of which, we'd like to now go over to Watts at the WLCAC. We want to give Mr. Watkins and his folks over there an opportunity to give their testimony as well. So go ahead and ask them to unmute themselves and have each person come up and introduce themselves, and we'll start the clock for each person at 2 minutes.
All right. So my name is Tim Watkins. I work at WLCAC. I'm everything from janitor to the administrator, depending on the day and what's going on. I'm not going to say much more except that the last speaker from CBA really hit me hard because I've lived at 88th and Central for 68 years. And it kind of illuminates how close we really are to our neighbors in CD8 and 9. And as you all know, I've been promoting the idea that Watts should move from CD15 to CD9. But I'm gonna let a couple of our other people step up, introduce themselves, and on behalf of the group, say a few things. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Terrell Tillman, and I'm a resident of Los Angeles. And from 1981 to 1987, I used to reside right on 107th and Central, right across the street from the county building. And Through those years, I played sports at, which is now Ted Watkins, which was Will Rogers back then. I also went to Jordan High, and through the years, I had a lot of good experiences, and I had family through all the project housing in Watts, from Jordan down to Nixon Guards to the Imperial Courts to the Hacienda Village. So I'm very acclimated about the community and helping the community. And myself, I ended up going to prison and serving 19 years as a total in the feds. And fortunately, I came back out as a refined man and a reformed man. And Mr. Watkins gave me the opportunity to be employed here. And at this point now, I'm a peer navigator for Project Impact, which is a reentry program here at the WLCAC through the Worksource Center. And I'm just glad to be a part of the solution to the community. And we have a housing program as well. And I was a residential advisor for the housing program that we had through the WLCAC and through the MOD to collaborate with. So it's just been a great experience for me and Watts. And, you know, I love the people in my community. And I just try to give back how I can and help people get jobs and training. And just lead the way and lead by example so people can continue to move forward in their lives and do what they have to do to be better them. So I just want to thank Mr. Watkins and the panel and everybody else for the opportunity to speak and give my testimony. So God bless everybody and have a great night.
Thank you, speaker. And while your next speaker gets ready, we just want to remind members of the public that you can go live on our website, laccrc2021.org, and start drawing your own maps. So the pictures that folks are painting for us this evening are great. And we also would like to see your maps and what you think your district should look like. So if you have a chance, please draw your map using the Districtor app. So once again, back at the WLCAC, we want to give our next speaker a chance to introduce themselves, and you'll have up to 2 minutes as well.
Hi, my name is Brandy Flowers, and I recently began working in Watts about a year ago. However, I live in a community that's outside of Watts, and I wanted to share my testimony today because it is very disheartening when I exit the highway to come to work every morning in Watts, and I see all of the trash that is taking over the community. I see all of the neglect that we don't really have a voice to represent us in this district. There are a ton of just really trash all over the place. And then when I compare that to where I live, it's completely different and it's very obvious of the differences. And then also the streets look very different where I live versus where I work. And it's things that the streets can be better. There's holes in the roads, and those things are just very unfortunate, and it shows the neglect that this community has seen from its representative over the years. And last thing is the grocery stores here are significantly more expensive than where I live in my community, and the median income is much lower in this community. So it just really is unfortunate that people here are spending more on groceries and make less than compared to where I live, where people are making more and spending less on groceries. So it just goes to show the neglect, and I really feel that this community deserves to have people represent them who care about them, and the voices and the requests for the people who live here deserve to be represented as well. Thank you, and have a great night.
All right, our next speaker at the WLCAC, go ahead.
So good afternoon. My name is Franisha Beasley. I grew up here in Watts. I have two children, 23 and 17. And I had to move out of Watts, where I've grown up, went to high school, junior high, elementary, all above, so they can get a better education. Everything in San Fernando Valley was basically free. Basketball, haircuts, any and everything, like she said. There were trash cans on every corner. There were not liquor stores on every corner. There were not trash bums, no concretes and all above. Everything was fixed. If we got on the phone and called something, someone came out to fix that. Versus Watts, we get on the phone and call something, no one comes out at all. I've now moved back to Watts, and I also work here for the community and outreach, and I do a lot of phone calling to get stuff fixed. It does not get fixed. Police does not come out. Violence is double for reasons out here, and y'all do not do anything about it. We do need to be connected with a community that you guys actually care about, because y'all do not care about Watts, Compton, Linwood, or none to that matter. And it's really sad and sickening. I don't understand how happy y'all sleep at night. But hey, y'all might sleep comfortable because y'all don't live in Watts. But it's all good. Y'all just need to help us out, get us connected, and do something different around here, because doing the same thing y'all been doing since the 80s is not helping us none. It is really sad, sickening, and ridiculous. And I hope this way on y'all brain to the day y'all don't exist no more. Have a blessed day.
All right, we're listening to folks over at the WLCAC give public testimony. Our next speaker has just stepped up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lone Hall. I'm a nutrition director here at WLCAC. I'm a native of Watts. Been living here 59 years, and I'm glad to be a part of this community. I never knew anything about redistricting and all of that, and coming up, I knew about the gang areas, we had a gang here, a gang there, and just you have to be careful not to go in certain neighborhoods because you fear for your life, something happening to you. But through that, and being a nutrition director here now, and serving over 30-something zip codes in delivering meals in District 8 and District 9, we serve those communities. Every day we send out hot meals to those communities. So last week when I was here and I heard people speaking from District 9 that we had to come through them in order to be a part of District 9. We already serving in District 9, not just food, Meals on Wheels every day, but social services, in-home services, transportation, all of these things that we're serving in all of these districts. So it is a blessing to be a part of that. But here in Watts, amen, we need more help right here in Watts. We have as you say, the redistricting. When do the councilman comes out and walk the city and see what's going on in our neighborhood? This is something that we need. I want to be a part of this in Watts and helping grow so that we can have a better life for our children, because they're our future. I know that you agree with me that they're our future. In order for them to grow up in the neighborhood that we're born and raised in, we need to do better to make more jobs, better schools, better food in the community. So we need that. So I thank you for this opportunity and standing for Watts.
All right, thank you again. Residents from Watts are at the WLCAC Center giving public testimony.
So I'm going to close it out. There are about 15 more people in the room that agree with what's being said. I would only add that we're already, like he said, like Reverend Lone said, we're already in CD9 and CD8 and CD10. We have real estate there. We have all the services he mentioned, as well as weatherization, handiworker. We do property maintenance and property management in those districts. We are there already. We are not in San Pedro. We're not in the harbor. And for anybody that feels like Watts coming into 9 is going to crowd, their cultural experience, or somehow it's going to be those people coming into their community. We're already there. We're your neighbors. We have the same kind, we hear the same things that you hear when you go to sleep at night, whether it's 8, 9, this part of 15. We unfortunately, the statistics that are staggeringly deplorable, we all suffer those here in this part of the city. So with that, I want to thank you for tolerating us, and we're going to close out with what time is it? I know 15 to 9. I know you guys are tired of hearing that, but anyway, that's what it is. Thank you.
All right, thank you from folks over at the WLCAC. I'm giving powerful testimony this evening. at our public hearing. So now we're going to go back to our attendees list. So thank you for those members of the public who are patiently waiting. And we do offer any apologies if we mentioned your name and did not give you a chance to speak. If you are still participating in the meeting, please raise your hand again and we will go ahead and call your name. But for our next group of speakers, we'd like to give the next three people a chance to get ready. We want to hear from John Gonzalez. Our speaker after that is named Aiden, and then Teresa Humphrey. So right now, John Gonzalez, you got your hand up. We'd like to ask you to unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're going to be speaking about this evening. And when you do, you'll have up to 2 minutes to give your comment.
Hello there. I'm John Gonzalez. I'm a resident of CD8 and Baldwin Hills Estates in the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw District. I'm the land use co-chair for the Baldwin Hills Estates HOA, representing approximately 3,500 residents. As far as district mapping, we believe the most recent redistricting, which largely altered the northwest portion of District 8, has created some negative impacts for our area. Geographically, our neighborhood has essentially become an island connected to our district by only a thread, which is the west side of Crenshaw Boulevard. We're already at the edge of the city with unincorporated county to our west and south. Historically, our neighborhood shared the district with our neighboring allies of Baldwin Vista and Leimert Park, but those neighborhoods were drawn out of CD8. Together, these neighborhoods have a strong cultural, economic, and political ties, which form the hub of Black and Brown South Los Angeles, centered in Baldwin Hills Crenshaw. Yet currently, those ties were broken as we were split into two distinct council districts. This has made it more difficult for us to thrive in the common pursuits we share, whether those be maintaining the healthy stability of our changing community or assuring adequate representation within the city. Economically, the last redistricting also removed important parts of the district in USC, which combined with the separation of Leimert Park, Marlton Kaiser, and a portion of Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza, left our district without key socioeconomic assets. In our ideal world, we would have more of the surrounding Crenshaw district together with us. If we're part of CD8, we would prefer more geographic continuity with the district, more than a thread of the west side of Crenshaw. We also feel that removing 1/3 of Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza, splitting a single property, which is the heart of our neighborhood commerce, into two districts was a mistake and a disservice. We consider this center inexorably part of our community. We believe it should be reconsolidated with the third previously moved into a second district, reunited with the majority 2/3 in CD8. In general, Baldwin Hills Estates would ask the commission to create a district that makes Baldwin Hills Estates less of an island and to provide CD8 with more economic resources. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Our next speaker is named Aiden. Aiden, please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, hi, my name is Aiden Flores. I'm speaking for District 1. Hi, my name is Aiden. I recently graduated from Crenshaw High School in District 1. I'm a proud resident of the Crenshaw District and a youth leader at Community Coalition. Even though the city spends a lot of money for gas for the helicopters that fly over my house every day, I still think it's a really good place to stay. I like that the people who live here, like me, respect me and look out for me and my siblings. In my community, we share a lot. We share our dreams and our history, and we have a lot to look forward to, even though the pandemic has impacted us in a bad way. But even during the pandemic, it has only brought us closer, and it made my siblings and I feel closer to the community. We have deep roots in the Crenshaw district, roots that should not be cut during the redistricting process. Thank you.
All right, very welcome. Our next speaker, Teresa Humphrey. Please unmute yourself, and you'll also have 2 minutes to give testimony.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Teresa Humphrey, and I am the president of the Baldwin Hills Estates Homeowners Association. I'd just like to give you guys just a brief update. You know, Baldwin Hills Estates is an upper middle class, diverse neighborhood in the city of Los Angeles. We have pretty much an average household income of over $100,000, which makes the neighborhood one of the most flourishing, affluent neighborhoods in the city. Our residents are hardworking, hardworking professionals and consumers striving to get ahead. However, we are attentive to the needs of our neighboring communities. We are aware of the homelessness, the expensive rent, the lack of affordable housing, and the economic strife that plagues some of our communities. We are in CD8 and we are asking to remain in CD8. We are also requesting that the lines be redrawn to include all of the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza, just like John stated earlier, that the lines have been split. We are split in half. We share them all with a CD10. I believe that CD8 needs the entire Baldwin Hills Mall, not half, to provide a steady, consistent revenue stream and tax base to increase profitability in Council District 8. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Our next group of speakers are going to be Lynn Moses, then a caller ending in phone number 671, and then Veronica Vasquez. So we're going to ask Lynn Moses, caller ending in 671, and Veronica Vasquez to prepare their comments. So Lynn Moses, please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about this evening.
I'm speaking about CD 8, 9, and 10, and Los Angeles in general.
All right, you have up to 2 minutes.
All right, thank you, sir. I love the people of the city of Los Angeles. I've lived here all my life. I do business in CD 8, 9, 10, have had several businesses. And the people, I'm listening to them, they're hungry, they're tired, and they're sick and tired of the lies and the cheating and the looting of our communities. The Black community, the brown community, the Asian community, white community, we're all being ripped off. The common thread here is people are talking about representation. The Black community has no representation in CD 8, 9, or 10. I know my comments are a little bit different from some of the others, but we have no representation. Our representatives for CD 8, for instance, has spent over $10 million in the last 20 months on luxury offices for himself, including $308,000 just for the move and a $20,087.50 a month lease to take over our unemployment office. So as we're talking about redistricting, we need to think about these things. I was watching a program when I was very young. A guy said, geography, death has no geography. Well, representation doesn't either. This same person, Marquise Dawson, is now spending $500,000 as we speak and a $17,000 a month lease right across from the EDD office he tried to steal for himself. So we need to talk about representation, not just in a geographical context, but what we're actually doing. Well, 3 to 8 people die on the street every day, 60,000 homeless. We need real representation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is caller ending in phone number 671. Please press *6 to unmute yourself, and then we'll give you 2 minutes to make your comments. So phone number ending in 671, please press *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, we're gonna ask once again, we have a speaker whose phone number is ending in 671. Please press *6 to unmute and speak. Okay. Well, let's give our next speaker a chance. And then if you're a caller ending in 671, get back in line and we'll give you a chance to give your comment. Veronica Vasquez, please unmute yourself and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give your comment.
Hola, buenas noches, comisionario. Mi nombre es Verónica Vázquez y yo soy miembro de Community College, el bloque del pueblo. Vivo en Los Ángeles, entre la Vermont y la Hoover, que está en el distrito 8. Tengo 3 hijos, 2 asisten a la escuela Natividad en Vermont y he vivido en mi comunidad durante 14 años. Yo soy originaria de México. El sur de Los Ángeles para mí es una comunidad fuerte a pesar de la limitación de inversión del gobierno. Por ejemplo, en mi comunidad hay organizaciones como Coalición que nos informa de las elecciones, tienen programas para los jóvenes para desarrollar su liderazgo y gracias al apoyo de la organización me convertí en presidente de papás en la high school de mi hijo, de la Hawking, pero no todo en mi comunidad es ideal. Por ejemplo, no hay muchos parques y necesitamos limpieza en las calles. En cada esquina hay licorería y en mi vecindario se han visto nuevas personas. Por ejemplo, una familia asiática enfrente de mi casa. Compraron la casa y viven aquí. Tenemos mucho talento en nuestra comunidad, pero necesitamos más recursos para que nos haya no haya adicción al alcoholismo que existen. Les insisto para que diseñen a mi distrito para que mis representantes tengan lo necesario para defender los ciclos de la adicción y minimización las campañas que venden alcohol, tabaco, marihuana en mi vecindario. Gracias por la oportunidad de hablar hoy. Gracias.
No problem. Our next our next list of speakers is going to be identified as Foreign Boy Ace, then followed by Jimmy Woods Gray, and then a caller ending in phone number 585. So Foreign Boy Ace, please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about this evening. So we're gonna ask, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I forgot to change my name, but it's Malcolm.
All right, Malcolm, go ahead and you have up to 2 minutes to give your statement.
Okay. Hi, my name is Malcolm McKay. I'm so proud. My bad. I'm a proud South Central resident, a student at Crenshaw High School, a member at Community Coalition. I live in the Leimert Park area of Los Angeles, and I have a lot of pride in my community. My community serves as a beacon of Black culture and history, and a place that celebrates the many accomplishments that Black people have made in the arts, science, and other fields. My community is tight knit, and there's a strong sense of belonging. It is a shame that such a beautiful community suffers from bad conditioning and policies. Students at my school do not receive the type of quality education that others do, despite the need of racial justice. And on top of that, we are being pushed out to make room for more rich people moving in. My neighborhood is being pushed out. This is not fair, and this is not the answer. My community is worth keeping together. It is worth investing in. My bad. It is worth investing in its growth and not tearing it down. It is worth investing in its people, the youth and adults member of my communities deserve the right to stick together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCain. We appreciate you giving your testimony. I think we called you earlier and did not give you a chance to speak. So thank you for remaining diligent and getting back in the line. Our next speaker is a caller ending in phone number 585. Please press *6 to unmute yourself. And you'll also have up to 2 minutes to give your comments. Once again, our next speaker is caller ending in phone number 585. Please press *6 to unmute.
You know what, Rob, let's try it again. It starts, oh, great, perfect, thank you.
Hi. I apologize for the delay. My name is, thank you. My name is Afrika Howard, and I am a member of the Community Coalition and the People's Bloc. I live in Los Angeles, 79th and Figueroa, which is in Council District 8, and I've been living here for 5 years. I wanted to talk about the redistricting. Now, I would like to keep the community the same, and as a member of Community Coalition, we're in the process of doing what we need to do in order to make our communities better. And so, in keeping everything the same, that'll allow us time to do that. And of course, at the forefront of what we're doing is the youth, in that the youth are our future. So there are some great things about where I live. For example, public transportation. It's very accessible to get to different cities and different places where I live. I like to go to USC, take my son to the ball games. I have a 13-year-old that goes to school at Audubon Middle School. And so those types of things like that in the Science Center, which is free for all, is very good. And I really enjoy that. However, there's some issues as well. Our streets, especially on Figueroa, they're littered with trash. There's all kinds of furniture on the streets. We have to deal with prostitutes, pimps, and johns. We have to deal with elders and homelessness, people being strung out. And of course, in LA, we have to, be mindful of colors, and the colors that people are wearing. Also, the food selections are not that great here, and I'd like us to continue to work on that. I as well go down to Trader Joe's for my food, or I wait for the farmers markets. And okay, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Sorry to have to interrupt, but we wanted to make sure we get to hear from everyone. Our next speaker, we wanted to give them a chance to give their testimony again. This is a caller ending in phone number 671. So caller ending in phone number 671, please press *6 to unmute, and you'll be able to, we'll be able to hear you loud and clear. All right, you can go ahead and get started whenever you're ready. Okay, so I'm sorry, speaker, we're trying to give you a chance to hear, but I'm not hearing anything. So we're gonna go and ask our next speaker, caller ending in phone number 705. Once again, caller ending in phone number 705. Please press *6 to unmute yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes to give your public testimony.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you. My apologies. We were in line for a bit. We're here. We have 2 speakers calling from Community Health Council. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Erica Pinto, and I am speaking on behalf of Community Health Councils and the Best Start communities in Region 2 of Broadway, Manchester, and neighboring West Athens. The community of Broadway, Manchester has been defined by its cross streets. More so than Broadway and Manchester, the community includes the neighborhoods along the 110 freeway that have come to define the community boundaries. The families living in this community are in need of representation that will address the needs of increasing economic development to create more jobs that stay here so that workers do not have to leave their community for good family sustaining jobs. We also need representatives that will help to find places to build more parks. We are a community here in CD8 that needs more assistance to build parks that will be a meeting space for families, that will create green spaces that provide for more activity and a refuge from the freeways and streets of our communities. We also share many of these same characteristics with neighboring communities in CD9 and CD15 that might be best served by sharing a representative in one district that will speak for all of our shared interests. The communities here in Broadway, Manchester also share many of the same needs in Vermont Vista, Green Meadows, and in Watts. The communities have a strength in moving forward to create a better life, and they need the representation at the City Council that will uplift their priorities and their issues here today as we've been listening and actively find solutions to right years of disinvestment for a bright future. These communities deserve a unified future with unified representation at the City Council that will listen to and respond to these South LA neighborhoods. Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity to speak and give testimony and invite community-based organizations and residents to say what is most important and how to be have unified representation at the City Council. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We are hearing public testimony right now from our host district from CD8, but we're welcome to hear community interest testimony from anywhere through the city. So please, if you would like to give public comments, please press the raise hand feature and you can join the speakers list. Or if you're phoning in, you can press *9 to raise your hand. Now, we also received word that we just, we also received word that there was someone who we were waiting to hear from at the South Bay Counseling Center. So I wanted to give them, once again, the folks at the South Bay Counseling Center a chance to give their public testimony. So I hope that this gives them a chance to get ready, and we're going to ask them to unmute themselves and let us know which neighborhood you'd like to speak about this evening.
Good evening. My name is Karim Belgalia. I was born and raised in Morocco. I came to the USA back in 2014, and when I came to America for the first time, I resided in 8812 South Main Street. I am married and have 2 kids. I have made this community my new home. When I look at my community, I see Latinos and African Americans. I also see people that go to work every day, hardworking people. And I see a lot of students since we live across the street from Knox Elementary School. Me and my family go to grocery between 89 and Main Street. Numero Uno, that's on the San Pedro in Manchester. I do have some concerns with the amount of homeless people around Manchester and Broadway, and I wish to also see more police patrolling over community to feel more safe. I enjoy living where I live now, and I hope to be able to buy a home around my area since I am familiar with this area, and for that reason, I would like my district stay the same. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. Is there any other speakers at the SBCC? Or that's it?
No, that's it. I'm the last one.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We're glad that you're able to make it in and get your testimony in. We hope you all appreciate that we were able to do that for you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, so we're going to go back now to our attendees list for folks who are attending this meeting on Zoom. If you have not raised your hand yet, please press raise hand and you'll join our speakers list, or you could press *9 to do it over the phone. Our next 3 speakers we're going to hear from Rosby Sazo, then we're going to hear from Kirk Samuels, and then Oscar Alvarez. So our next speaker, Rosby Sazo, please unmute yourself. Tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about, and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give your comment.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Oh, yes, you can. Okay, hi. I'm going to say it in Spanish because I think the impact will be different and more better, I would say, for all our Spanish speakers. Yo soy Rosby. Buenas noches, comisionados, y a todos los que están presentes. Mi nombre es Rosby Sazo. Vengo representando al distrito número 15. He crecido y trabajo en el mismo distrito desde hace muchísimos años. Lamentablemente, el distrito 15 que yo represento es el más pobre, en el cual no tenemos ninguna representación. Soy del distrito de Watts. Estaba escuchando que el distrito 8 y el 9 les gustaría quedarse como están. pero la mayoría de personas vienen a nuestro distrito y también se benefician de todo lo que nosotros ofrecemos. Tenemos la librería, tenemos las marquetas, tenemos un post office. También trabajo para Watts Labor Community Action Committee y me gustaría hacerles saber de que a los distritos, tanto al 9 como al 8, nosotros también servimos muchas de esas áreas a las personas de la tercera edad, haciendo weatherization, handyman para poderles arreglar sus casas. Tenemos muchas cosas los cuales ustedes se pueden beneficiar aún más de nosotros. Watts Train Station, las torres de Watts, Civil Rights Museum, nuestro parque. Nos gustaría tener representación, nos gustaría que nos den una oportunidad para que nosotros podamos estar de mano en mano y salir adelante como comunidad. Esta es una comunidad de latinos, vamos de mano en mano con los afroamericanos, ya de que la cultura es distinta, pero a la misma vez somos tan unidos que prácticamente nos estamos ganando en 100 en todo. Solamente exijo de que se nos dé representación, así como se los han dado a otros distritos, que nos tomen en cuenta a nosotros también, porque nosotros ofrecemos mucho para otras comunidades, no solamente miramos por el bienestar de nosotros mismos. Gracias a todos, feliz noche.
All right, thank you very much. Our next speaker, Kirk Samuels. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about, and you'll have up to 2 minutes as well.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Before I get started, I wanted to know if it'd be possible for me to yield my time to some of the other speakers from the People's Bloc that have been waiting for quite some time. I wanted to know if that was possible.
Yeah, sure. How can we assist?
So I have a couple of speakers like Afrika Howard and Prudence Parnett that have been waiting that I know that, you know, it's been a long night for them. So I was hoping that we can get them on.
I believe we heard from Afrika Howard, but yes, please, if you have any folks who would like to call in or raise a hand, or if you need to pass the phone over, we can start the clock whenever they introduce themselves.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Rob, I see Prudence on the speakers list. They have the
I
hand
see
raised.
them as well.
Okay, I'll make sure to allow them to talk.
And can I just say that in ceding your time, what we're not going to do is give the next speaker your time and that speaker's time too, right? So if you want to hand the phone over and somebody gets the 2 minutes, that's great. But we can't have people accumulating time as it gets handed over, just so you understand.
All right, so we're going to allow Prudence Parnett or Patnett the opportunity to give public testimony right now. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and you'll have up to 2 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Good night. Hello, commissioners. My name is Francine Herrera McKay. I am a member of the Community Coalition and the People's Bloc. I live in Los Angeles and Gartway in the Lamar area, District 10. My son attends Crenshaw High. I lived in the community for 7 years, including neighborhoods such as Vermont and 54th, Normandy and 57th, 60th and West Boulevard in Crenshaw. South Los Angeles is warm. It's a beautiful community, and it feels like home. The sea and the palm trees remind me of my small country, Belize, of 400,000 people. I started my business when I was 8 years old in Belize. After I moved to the United States, I became a caregiver. But now I can't do that anymore because I'm partially disabled. I've been in a lot of pain, and I felt helpless during my partial disability, and I needed something to make money. So I started to cook again during the pandemic because I needed to do something I loved to keep me alive and also to make money. I also needed to prepare for my first grandchild, who is now here. I see this same strength in my community. That's the South Los Angeles area is to me. My community includes the Lamart Park, the Baldwin Hill Mall, and the Farmers Market, which is hosted on Saturdays. I urge you to keep the district together so that our representative can continue to be champions for the issue of the Black student achievement. My community is stronger united, not divided. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
You're very welcome. Our next group of speakers are Oscar Alvarez, Marianne Kavicnik, and Roxana Padilla. So Oscar Alvarez, please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about this evening.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hi, so my name is, hello commissioners, my name is Oscar Alvarez and I am a member with Community Coalition and the People's Bloc. I have lived in South Central LA for 25 years, 22 of those here in City District 8. During my K through 12 education, I attended public school here in South LA. I still remember relying on public transportation to get to and from school, riding down Slauson past the Slauson Mall in the 108s, and then down Vermont Avenue in the 204, past many small mom and pop shops along the Vermont corridor. As a Black and Latino community, South Central has many gems that help strengthen the local economy and preserve the history and culture of South LA. We are blessed with several Black locally owned businesses like South LA Cafe, Hot and Cool Cafe, Coffee del Mundo, and Hank's Mini Market, which have become cultural hubs that reinvest our dollars back into our community. We are also blessed with the best taco stands, which are what allow many Latino entrepreneurs to support their families in a dignified way. South LA has been impacted by social and economic disinvestments, which is why during this redistricting process, it is important that my community is kept together because we collectively care about the livelihood of Black and brown working class communities. We care about our right to a competent K-12 public education and an equitable access to higher education for our youth. We care about access to worthy employment opportunities in our district to help us reduce one of the highest unemployment rates in the city. We care about political representation that will help us revitalize our neighborhoods, all while helping us address the housing crisis and the growing displacement of my community. Today, I urge you to keep neighborhoods like Lamert Park, Crenshaw, Vermont, and Manchester, and Hyde Park together because they represent a strong political power that is needed to advocate for issues that historically have impacted Black and brown working class communities like South Central. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Our next speaker, Marianne Kovanik, please unmute yourself and you'll have 2 minutes to give public comments as well. Once again,
Hello?
Marianne, oh, there you are. Hello.
Am
Loud
I
and clear.
unmuted? No, shoot.
Yes, you are. Go ahead. No, you're unmuted. You're good.
Okay. My name is Marianne Yoshiki Kovanik, and I've been a resident of Baldwin Hills for over 48 years. I had a strong relationship with this area, Crenshaw District. My aunt moved into Lamert Park in 1956 and lived there until 2001. I also attended USC, did my student teaching at Audubon, which is now middle school, and Dorsey High School. So I've had a long relationship with Crenshaw. I want to just voice an agreement with the comments of John Gonzalez. I think that when it was redistricted the last time, it divided Baldwin Hills, which abuts Jim Gilliam Park. And it put Jim Gilliam Park in 10 and Baldwin Hills in 8. So and when we have issues with the park or anything like that, they most of the time go on deaf ears because we don't vote in District 10. So I would like to agree with John Gonzalez's comments that we redraw the lines as they were before, the earlier lines. And I thank you very much for having the commission. I think it's very great that you're allowing the public to join and voice an opinion. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're happy to do so and provide all these public hearings on Zoom for everyone to participate at their level of comfort. we would like to now ask Roxana Padilla to unmute themselves and tell us which neighborhood you're going to speak about this evening, because you'll have up to 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Roxana Padilla. I'm a student at USC. I was born and raised in South Central LA. And I'm really hoping that we withdraw the lines back to a map that can be able to better show the unity between all these districts. But as it is right now, I don't think it makes sense to have like the entire map show parts of University Park, Expo Park, Adams Normandy to be spatially so apart from South Central parts of the City District 8. So I'm hoping that we would draw the maps to show the unity spatially. And I think that's something I don't see currently being considered. As far as like the new streets and where we should be drawing the maps, I think historic South Central, South Park, Vermont Square, that I think is like the core of South Central LA, along with Vermont Station and Florence. But further beyond that, I feel like it's more towards like Long Beach and it's so like far apart. And I don't think it should be extended that much further. But thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We want to try to make sure that we captured everyone accurately. I believe we had a speaker named Tara Perry speak earlier during the hearing, but then I also see that they kept raising their hand again. So if this is another person at that residence that would like to give public testimony, we do want to give them a chance to be heard. So right now we're going to ask Tara Perry to unmute themselves. And if this is a different person, go ahead and introduce yourself and you'll have up to 2 minutes. But if it's the same person, we're sorry, we're not going to be able to allow you to speak again.
I had a question. Is this the suggested redistricting map, or are you just showing us the different locations in LA
Yeah,
City?
we're just trying to provide a visual so it's a little bit easier for folks to follow along.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so our next speaker did call earlier. We just wanted to make sure that if it's okay that we didn't have a miscommunication. Kirk Samuels, we believe that you unmuted yourself before and ceded your time to someone else, but we just wanted you to understand that it was not necessary to have to do that. We could hear everyone's comments. You all were already in line. So Kirk Samuels, if you'd like to unmute yourself and give public comments, we'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm just going to hop right into it. My name is Kirk Samuels. I'm the Director of Civic Engagement for Community Coalition and convener of the People's Bloc, which is a multiracial alliance of 34 organizations that are dedicated to the inclusion of everyday residents, conducting public education, and proposing solutions to the redistricting process that promote the political voice, representation, and access to resources of historically underrepresented groups. These groups include different faiths and ethnicities ranging from Asian Pacific Islanders, Latinx, and Black folks. Now, after hosting over a dozen community of interest workshops across the city, specifically in Council District 8 with over 100 community residents, I've seen a common theme lifted in almost every session. That theme is gentrification and displacement. The folks of South Los Angeles share a common concern that their safe space, the only space in this great city that is truly theirs, is being broken apart by gentrification and displacement. Folks are adamant that their communities are not only kept together, but strengthened through the redistricting process, and that their vision for the redistricting process aligns perfectly with our mission to create space for everyday folks to advocate for solid voting bases and to continue electing the candidates that truly represent their interests. We know that from the last redistricting cycle that the release of the census data that the Black population has dropped drastically in Los Angeles while other demographics have grown. So we are literally experiencing the erasure of the neighborhoods that raised us in the communities that we call home. And it's frightening for a lot of the residents. So commissioners, please consider the district maps of South Los Angeles when it comes to creating your draft maps. So in closing, I would like to reiterate that South LA has not only been home, but a place of wellness, identity, and culture for thousands of Black people for decades. So this place means a lot to us, and keeping our communities together will ensure our place in the city. Thank you, commissioners, for hearing me, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Right now, if you would like to give public testimony, please press the raise hand function on your screen or press *9 on your phone, and that will join you into our speakers list. Chair Ali, currently right now, we do not have any members of the public in the speakers list, but if you'd like for us to wait a couple minutes, that we give people another chance.
I'd appreciate that, Robin. As we've learned, let's give it a minute, and you may have somebody else want to provide testimony.
Sure.
Chair Ali, as
No
we're
problem.
waiting, could I ask a question or clarification?
Sure, Commissioner
I
Khan.
noted when Mr. Samuels ceded his time, he was told that ceding the time does not allow additional time for the next participant. Yet, as I recall, during the CD9, we had the same individual do that so that we could see the 15:9 video, which was an outstanding video. So I just want to make sure that we are consistent in our application of ceding time. So could you give guidance as to what the rule is, or is this decision based on circumstances?
Yeah, Commissioner Kanye, great question. I think the circumstances tonight were a bit different, and I'm going to ask our city attorney if he can provide us some clarification.
Well, so the rules are generally up to the presiding officer, but we generally across all kinds of bodies in the city of LA do not allow people to cede time from one person to another. The idea under the Brown Act is that everybody gets a certain amount of time to talk. And you can also imagine the practical problems that would occur if everybody starts ceding their time as if it's some sort of parliamentary debate. So I think they're both practical and legal reasons that the general rule is that we don't allow you to cede time and increase the time of somebody else. In this case, all the speaker wanted to do was temporarily allow somebody else to speak during that person's regular time, which is unproblematic.
Thank you, Stephen. So just to clarify, it is at the discretion of the chair.
I think it is, but as a general rule, I would not recommend that you do it unless there are unusual circumstances that require it.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Kanye, I did not raise it tonight because I assumed we would come back to the speaker, in this case, Kurt Samuels. So I didn't see it as an issue we had to address in the moment. So, but I appreciate your question. Rob,
Thank you,
how are
everyone.
we doing? Do we have anyone else in the queue?
Believe it or not, Chair Ali, no one else has signed up. I think that's it.
Okay, so let's bring this public hearing to a close then. The public comments part of the hearing. And Rob, I want to thank you once again for a great job. So, and I want to thank members of the public for their testimony tonight. I want to especially note appreciation for the organizers at SBCC and the Watts Labor Community Action. Their work, as I think all of the commissioners understand, helps to ensure that residents without internet access have access and can have their voices heard. So again, much appreciation for the organizing work you did bringing people together. We heard many speakers talk about what makes South Los Angeles unique tonight. We heard a number of speakers talk about South Los Angeles being a home for Black history and culture in our community. We also heard once again commonality of interest between Black and Brown residents in South Los Angeles. We heard people. We talk about what makes South Los Angeles unique and special, including the active involvement of residents working together to make their community stronger. I, for one, was really inspired by a lot of these messages. We also heard speakers express concerns for issues like education and homelessness that they feel need greater city attention. As I think we all heard, many speakers urge keeping CD8 intact. And once again, it was great to hear tonight so many youth voices. That's been something we've heard throughout many of our hearings with youth participating. We celebrate that, and once again, it was great to hear the youth speak tonight. Some speakers noted many community of interest connections between CD8, CD9, and Watts. And once again, we heard significant testimony from Watts residents urging that they be connected with District 8 or 9, citing stronger communities of interest between those communities. We heard a couple residents from the Baldwin Hills area raise concerns about the current split between 8 and 9, and that's something obviously that will go into our database, and we will give that considerations. But one of the things that I wanted to really lift up is one of our last speakers, I think, summarized well what this redistricting process is all about. And again, I want to lift that up. She talked about the need for representation that will listen and respond to South Los Angeles neighborhoods. And that, of course, is what we are attempting to do as a commission, drawing district lines that provide fair and responsive political representation. And the testimony that we heard from all of you tonight really help us in this difficult process. So once again, thank you for turning out and really helping us as we go forward with our deliberations. So I want to let people know who might still be on the line with us, members of the public, that this testimony is combined with the census data and other quantitative data, and that's what helps inform our line drawing that is now upon us. Some meetings that are coming up in the very near future. Our last community of, I can't believe I'm saying this, commissioners, but our last community of interest public hearing is this Saturday. It's a city-wide hearing, and that starts at 10 a.m. And I'm thinking we're going to have a lot of people show up for that hearing. At least I'm hearing that now. We have a very important meeting on September 13th, where our 4 regional ad hoc committees that have been considering issues on a regional basis are going to come before the commission and present the principles that they would like to advance in the redistricting, in the line drawing process. And then on September 20th and 21st, we are going to hold one public hearing. There's going to be a recess between the 2 days. It will again span September 20th and 21st. And this is where we're actually going to take up the process of actually drawing lines. And this will be done in full view of the public. And there'll be opportunities for testimony on both the 20th and the 21st. And then finally, on September 28th, the commission is going to come together and adopt a final a draft map that will then be released for public comment. And we're going to have 4 hearings to take public comment on the draft map. Those will be October 6th at 6 p.m., October 9th at 10 a.m., October 13th at 6 p.m., and October 16th at 10 a.m. And then finally we come together. We come back together on October 21st to adopt the final map, and October 28th to adopt the final report that will be presented to our final recommendation that will be presented to the city council, and they of course will have the last word in the matter. So a lot of work ahead of us. I want to urge members of the public to stay with us and participate as you might in the public hearings that are upcoming. So with that, I want to go back to ex parte communication disclosures and see if there are any disclosures that need to be made. These are communications that may have occurred during tonight's meeting. Okay, I don't think I am seeing any of that. And so once again, thank you, commissioners. We've had 16 hearings. We've had quorums at each of those 16 hearings and really active participation from the public. And I appreciate your commitment to this, to be at each of these hearings. And with that, I'm going to, and once again, before I close, I want to thank Frank Cardenas and the staff of the commission for their excellent work in making all of this possible. So is there a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Commissioner Barrett. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Pritchard. And so listen, everyone stay safe. We'll see you Saturday. And this meeting has come to an end. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. And LD, just give us the heads up.
I've got it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you. Good job.